I'm back here at this rear bumper. Okay, this side of the car. And I'm gonna go under here and see that I packed that in there. But this rear fender is a place where there was some pretty bad rust. But you can see the spine down here is pretty solid. And I just sort of scrubbed that out and I tried to fill it. But that job would need to be done a bit. Now the only place on the frame that I have any rust, really that's a rust problem, is this part right here. Can you see? All the way back here. It's not really a support thing. The steel's pretty strong. This is the only place I've actually seen any of this sort of that it's gotten in there like that. But I still think that's solid. Certainly past inspection. It could be sanded down and painted. Now let me back out here. These leaf springs on both sides, the car's sort of sagging. This is what would need to be done. I priced them around, I found about 150 a piece, but I did not do that job. And back here on this rear tire, the treads are good on the rear. And that's that part of the car. And move up this way. And down here, I think I had a little, no I didn't, no, pinhole. Well, it doesn't go through, a little bit of rust there. And then down further here, I had more rust on this part. It wasn't terribly deep, but I did try to keep after that. It's with fiberglass. Over this way, this side, so I don't forget, I have an issue with this window, reeling it up and down. It does reel up and down, but sometimes when you're reeling it up, it'll go clunk, and then you have to push it up slowly and pull it up. So this window is starting to go bad. I don't know, you'd have to take that apart and replace the gears inside. You can get it down at this point. It kind of comes up to here and you can pull it and then roll it and it does go up, but that's something. We'll get to the interior then in a little bit. Roundabout to the front, and we're back out here. And the treads in the front there, both tires would need to be replaced. That's because my steering is just not aligned very well. Alright, so now why don't we go to the interior, then we'll end with the engine. So that's about the entire exterior of the car. The interior, I think I've taken off this seating once. It could be assumed that under here it's pretty bad. This seat cover's been on since I had it, but you can see out there there's foam and all, so that front seat's pretty much has that cover on there. I've found some floorboard rust. This was all carpeted and everything, and I did rip the carpet out about a year ago. There's a little bit of rust there and all, but I think the floorboards are pretty solid on both sides. As for up here, I have an issue with my wipers, the wiper switch. It sticks. Sometimes I'll have to, when I go to turn the wipers off, they stay on. I was in an issue when I was in a rainstorm, and if you can see the scrape on the window, because the wiper wouldn't go off, but the wiper came off and it was rubbing, and so I do have this. It's not on that side, it's just there. Up front here, the RPA gauge does work. These lights, when I took out this dash cluster, these things should be pushed out more. All the lights are where they belong and they work, but if you can push those back by taking the dash cluster out, because I got a new dash cluster for this, a stock one, if you push those gauges out a little bit, the light will shine in there. The fuel gauge doesn't work. I did just replace the float. Something between the wiring and the float, it doesn't work. And I'm not certain why. It must be the wiring though, because this is the second gauge I've tried, and I did replace the float. Other than that, I just went through here and I took this whole thing apart and I replaced this switch in here. If I take this assembly apart, but in there I replaced the blinker switch and the horn, and there was a spring, but after I went in there and replaced that, my blinkers work and everything else in that, but I could not get my horn to work. And I went out here and I took the horns apart, tried to clean them, and I also changed this switch down here, and I still couldn't get the horn to go. I'm not sure what's wrong with the horns, why the horns won't blow, but that's also an issue. Up front here, what else to speak of. And over here on this side too, you can see some rusting over there. It doesn't rust through. This, I don't have any holes down there or anything, but there's some rust on the floorboards. Around the side, this interior is pretty well used. You can see in the ceiling that headliner is pretty well, would need to be restored if you were really going to want to do that. The side here, there was plastic up and down. That plastic is gone on both sides. And the light fixture above there is broken. The light does work, but it doesn't turn off. This is the front here. I'm trying to think what else I can say about in here. I did go in and change all those bulbs, and the lighter does work, and the heater works really well. I don't have any issues there. Turn signals work fine. In here, it's just saying about the brakes. My pedals a little bit, it's about, I don't know, it's a little spongy right now. I think I need new pads. And to the back of the car over here, you can also see along the door side here, these handles are sort of worn. And then down to the rear, not much to speak of in the back. I thought about ripping these carpets up because in the front I did have, it was water under there, but there's no, it's always been dry back here. I haven't run into any issues. When I have pulled up, I've seen nothing back here. So the back and the floorboards is all good. Back seat here, you can see that the door upholstery's ripped, and up there, and the rear seating, and all along here. My children were putting stickers on where we were going places. It's the interior. That's about all I can say for the interior of the car. Now, on the engine, I'll start it in a minute. It's 4-barrel Elderbrock carburetor. I had a 302 in it when I first bought the car, but the camshaft bearing went bad, and the camshaft cost about $2 grand for $289. So I got a 302, and I modified some mounting brackets in the back, and I got this in there like that. I have no problems with it. I'd say that this has probably like 60 to 70,000 miles because the odometer stopped working, and then I put in a new odometer. I'm not certain, but I'd say at most it would be 70,000 miles on the engine. I don't have any problems with it. What can I say here? I did change the water pump not long ago. Thermostat housing right here, I changed the thermostat, but out here, this screw right here is stripped. I have enough pressure in there with washers, and it does do scant leaking. I have a picture that'll be at the video. I just washed this out in here, but I did save a picture so you could see how it leaks. It's not a tremendously long leak at all. It's easy to follow, but to retap this, you're gonna have to take this plate off here. But it does drip, but not so much that I could keep it running. I've been running it for a while without any issues with heating or losing a lot of fluid. But it will drip and it'll fill in here over time. This compartment will fill up about maybe once a month. Otherwise here, that's about it. So why don't I start it up? I do want to show something underneath the car. Down here at your Y pipe, I had 2 issues with this. I was in here and I changed the bearings on both axles in the rear. Also, this Y pipe is pretty solid, but when you get down here to this part, I just had this welded. This is gonna last for a little bit. I should put some JB weld around here to sort of, but this had to give me an issue at one time, and it was welded. Now it's just welded. I would say within the next year you're gonna need to replace this part of the exhaust. I also have a leak. I think it's coming from the rear main seal. I go through about a quart of oil every month and it leaks out of here, and so I do think it's coming from there. Yeah, other than that, under here I don't really have any other issues. Like I was saying, I did change the fuel pump and the fuel float. Okay, so I'll start up here. Wishing I didn't pop this thing off. It does pop right back on. Hold on a minute. Okay, so with starting in park, it usually goes right up. Sometimes I'll have to wiggle this just to get it in park a bit, just to get it to roll over. Let me see if it's going to need that right now. Yeah, both my blinkers work. Oh, yeah, I just went through and did the signal, so there should be no problems with that. All the blinker is worked just fine. I can show you there. I got the left one going. And then the one over here to the right side. Yeah, I've been driving it every day, pretty much just maintaining it. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, about the vehicle, just text me or write me or text me, and I'll answer them. Feel free to run around here and take any pictures or videos that you want me to, and answer any questions honestly about the vehicle. I've really enjoyed it. It's probably my favorite car. I've had other old cars. This one's a fun one. It was a great family car. I need one more seat, so I'm looking for the same year and a 64 that has a station wagon rear. I do have things in the trunk, but I did want to show that compartment. I don't have any rust issues in the back here. I do have a bunch of stuff in here though. I got a spare, and I keep my jack in there, but I don't have any issues back here to speak of. I mean, no rust or anything in the rear. Lots of space. It's a big trunk. Yeah. Okay, so feel free to ask any questions, more details about the car, maintenance, or things that I've done. The full you know, all the problems, everything I can think of, everything that I know of, and everything that I am aware of, and everything that I know that's a problem with the car is listed down below. About under the bad, and then the good would be the things that I replaced on the car. All right. Well, thank you.